In this episode, we created 3 events that would be cool to see released alongside future seasons of the Bazaar. These events are Jules Cooking Show, the Wormcat Invasion, and City Rises. We'll go into depth talking about our ideas for the theming and cool new modes/features that would be added to the game. So let's dive under the surface. Yeah, so we just finished talking about the Sphynxian migration and Sphynxians versus Wormcats. You should definitely go check out that episode, but it gave us a bunch of cool ideas for maybe events that could coincide with certain things, like in different seasons throughout the game. One of the first ones we've come up with is a Jules Cooking Show event. It feels very obvious. We know Jules is this famous chef in the Bazaar. We know she has her own cooking show from one of the lore videos, and she's going to be an important part of the game. She's going to be the main part of whatever season she releases in.
I mean, maybe at the start we should explain what we mean by saying an event, right? Because in various other games, there are sometimes there happen to be some event that is, expanding your gameplay experience. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Usually those events are like tied to, like Christmas or Easter, things like that. And yeah, we thought that having some seasonal special events could be really fun. I mean, we sort of, I don't know, I think we both agree that not something that we may expect in the near future, but down the line, I think that would be a nice break of pace.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So, for example, when Jules comes out, and that's probably in like half a year, maybe, she could be released with an event to coincide with it. And you know what? How about Jules Cooking Show be about cooking? So your responsibility would be to cook a build, So we thought that the easiest way to implement that would be to gather 10 win runs from, when you play. So you go through a run of the Bazaar, you do really well, and you manage to get to 10 wins. Then that board, after you've won, would be saved as a list, probably, in the event screen. And then you would be able to choose which build that you have succeeded with. You would choose your fighter, in essence, right? So let's say this event would last 1 or 2 weeks. And during that time, you would be expanding your list of 10 win runs. And every player would be able to choose one entry, one 10 win build to go into a sort of knockout rounds. So each build would fight against another build that was, put into this tournament. And, every round would reduce the number of builds by half because that's how knockouts work, at least in 1v1 scenarios. So at some point, a winner would be decided, and that winner could probably get a cool cosmetic, like a cooking hat or whatever, chef's hat. Maybe that could be like a bank.
A crazy rare item.
Yeah, so that could also be a recurring event. Like, let's say every half a year or let's say every 3 months, there could be a cooking show. So you could, cook up a new build, something new. Maybe a meta has shifted, so there's something new to do. And I guess we have been thinking, is it better to only allow for one entry, or should all 10 win runs be collected for that knockout tournament? And we, I think, established that having only one entry, on one hand, is more fair because, everybody has only one chance to win. So if you are Crip and spending 12 hours a day playing the Bazaar, you cannot, have the entries of the whole tournament.
So the fact that you only have this one build means that you can insert into there and you've got 1 or 2 weeks to do it. It's going to come with a new patch likely, so the meta is going to be in complete chaos on day one. But, as it shifts and evolves, you can sort of change out your build. But, if, I don't know, like Lizard Dolly was an insane build that everybody was running a while back, so maybe that's the meta. And we know that if you can kill the Lizard Dolly quicker than the lizard can, tick your health down with, say a boulder or some weapons sort of build, then you can beat all those lizard dollies. So it's sort of this idea where, do you want to play the meta or do you want to counter the meta and maybe just beat everybody and get the chef's hat? think it's really fun. And the fact that you can shift out your build over the whole course of the 1 or 2 weeks makes it so you can always keep thinking about what do I want to be putting into this build. Maybe it's just the way you play a run so that you can, maybe be the superior being in the bazaar.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So there's some skill expression in that format where you have to decide whether to go with the strongest, apparently strongest build in the meta, maybe something you saw in Crip's video, or maybe you can concoct a counter for that exact build. So, you have to weigh your chances. I would be definitely participating in that cooking show for a sweet reward.
Yeah, I wouldn't be optimistic about myself, but I would throw a build in there for sure.
I mean, yeah, and I guess one last thing would be the ability to watch your fights in that tournament and maybe watch your friends' fights in that tournament. Like, I would hope that all of those would be somehow accessible for the public to watch them and, see what happened, where things went wrong for some players and went great for others.
Yeah, and it definitely should be accessible so you can, make sure it's all fair and it looks good, just for the sake of that sort of thing.
Yeah. So please, Tempo, we need that stuff. It would be insane, in my opinion.
Wait, can you imagine what the final fight would look like?
I mean, I played charge meta, so I do.
Yeah, it might just be one build like one-shotting the other build too. Like half a second or something crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be fun.
But still, you have cooked, right?
Yeah. So when we were talking about in the last episode the war between the Sphynxian and the Wormcats, I thought, why not have a whole season centered around, that sort of conflict? And what we've came to is the Wormcat Invasion, because right now there's only one Wormcat in the bazaar, and there's quite a few Sphynxians, like 5 or so. So it'd be cool to get more Wormcats into the bazaar. So maybe they, in this event, 5 new Wormcats are now vendors or whatever. They're events. They're things that you can interact with in the bazaar. Maybe there's a new Wormcat hero. That would be pretty cool, right? Wormcats are aggressive.
Like a ninja
maybe.
or whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah. So we'll have a new Wormcat hero potentially. That's maybe a little far thinking, but we would like that. And there would be special cosmetics and stuff added. This is going to be all Wormcat, Sphynxian, themed. And maybe the spawn rates on the Wormcat and Sphynxian events would be increased. So it feels more like, hey, these guys are here now. They're living here. Like there's this real sort of battle going on.
Yeah. And also, it would be really fun if in the event screen, let's say, you could choose your side. So let's say, do I want to fight with the Sphynxians or would I like to help the Wormcats? So let's say if you choose to side with the Sphynxians, you get a Sphynxian rag or a card back. But if you choose to side with Wormcats, you get their rag or a card back or whatever else. So, there would be a need to think hard, first of all, what cosmetic you want, and also like maybe there could be a story relevancy to that choice. So this could also mean something, and exclusive cosmetics or probably would go hard on the marketplace. I mean, if you want to have both, you need to buy that from somebody else who was in the other team. If I were a Sphynxian teammate, would I try to help a Wormcat with the merchandise? I'm not sure.
Never. Traitor.
But they are so fluffy.
I mean, this event is probably my favorite on the list. It would just be so fun to play during that time and feel like you're doing more for your cause. Do you have any idea what sort of maybe story implications this would have, or how it could affect it if one side wins? Like, what could be the big change?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we do not want to sort of kill off any characters to, because removing something for lore purposes, like an event from the game, would be sort of feel bad moment. Let's say Pip was murdered by Wormcat, so he wouldn't be in the game anymore, but we would like to have a bronze skill vendor in the game, and like it's not really reasonable to kill off a character and substitute that character with another character that fills the same role, sort of, and especially you would need to get new art for that character, and I don't know, it's sort of messy. So there would be a need for something more in the background. So I don't know. If you have an idea, go for it.
Maybe like the side that wins, like their side gets a new encounter or something in an upcoming season, or something to that degree. I mean, I guess you'd want it to be more quickly put out.
Yeah,
but-
and at the same time, that would be a route that Mojang goes. That they show their community 3 options and choose one.
Well, maybe you don't show them anything. You know what I mean? You're just like, we'll make an encounter.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you say that an encounter is going to be added to a certain group, I think you would need to, before you even start the event, you would need to have both events prepared beforehand, so you could add them at the end. Because, as you said, you don't want to wait a whole season for that, law change, for that story to actually progress.
Yeah, true.
So you would sort of throw out the other one. So that's work that would not be used, which is another feel-bad moment. This time, not only for the players, but also for the artists who worked on that. So I suppose it could either be purely story-related change, but maybe there's some mechanical influence that could be implemented in the game. But I must admit that Wormcat Invasion is the least fleshed out of the events that we have prepared.
Yeah.
Well then, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but it's really cool.
Yeah,
Conceptually, so
right. It needs more work put into it, but like some framework is there. But I think I like the third event that we have come up with at least as much as the Wormcat Invasion. Though Jules Cooking Show is my favorite, I have to admit.
oh, okay.
Right. So our idea for the third event that could happen sometime in the future was, like, we called it City Rises, but the naming is not really in our hands. But in essence, to not add too much to the workload that Tempo has, it could affect an event that already exists. And that could be Awakened District. So we already know that some ancient magic corrupts buildings and statues in the bazaar with those pink crystals and compels those statues and buildings to attack the residents of the bazaar. So how about Awakened District becomes like corrupted, becomes even larger, even fiercer, and it gets a new health bar. Let's say like 10 million HP, maybe even more. I'm not sure how many players are actually in the game and how many will there be in the future, but some obscenely large health bar. And players, I mean, we could go like with 2 separate routes with this idea. Like, if PvE mode is already implemented by that time, then Awakened District could become the final boss of the PvE mode for that week or 2, and you would need to defeat that monster to maybe get some reward or whatever. And other idea was that if you were to play a regular ranked or casual run, you would find at some point Awakened District, right? And you could choose to fight it to help take it down. You would get maybe, I don't know, 1500 damage on him. Maybe, well, that's probably 15,000 if you have a good build, because 1500, if that's your damage output, I wouldn't go to Awakened District at all. Right, but let's say you put in 15,000 damage by yourself, and the next time you fight the Awakened District, you would also put in some damage. And during this time of the event, all players would have to band together and focus on defeating Awakened District to help take him down, like as a whole community. Like, we would, I don't know, like not really be forced, but I guess it would be strongly advisable to go for that boss, so it doesn't, let's say, destroy half the bazaar.
So I have a question. So is the Awakened District like the same in terms of like when you fight it 1v1, or does it actually have like the health bar of like a ridiculous amount of health and you're taking one for the team?
I think it should have this giant health bar when you fight him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it would be pretty funny.
Yeah, and it is sort of important for it to have this giant health bar when you go into the fight, so you can sort of like monitor where the health bar is at this particular time, besides like checking the value in the event screen. That could be cool, to see actual progress on the bar. And if someone gets to the Awakened District with like a insane infinity combo, then that could be like a what would happen.
I had an idea. I mean, you could work around this, but the boulder,
Right.
just one shot him.
I guess you could make a district immune to boulder in that case,
Yeah,
because
or maybe
like
even
it's
a cap.
stone, maybe.
Like a cap on how much maybe you can do to it or something. What about rewards from that too? I'm just curious. So you're like, are you literally just taking one for the team, or are you like still getting some sort of rewards depending on?
I mean, you are asking about if it would grant you like gold experience and like an item. Not 100% sure. I guess like not getting a reward would feel bad, right? Because then if you, let's say, playing ranked, you do not want to waste your encounter to help with an event, because like getting chests is more personal than participating in an event. So there would need to be some sort of middle ground in that sense. Like maybe you would get like guaranteed 2 or 3 points of experience, and then you get gold based on like every, let's say, 10,000 health you shave off of this monster. I don't know. I am just putting random numbers here.
Yeah, I like that idea, because you still need to get something from it, but people will want to go to it because it's for the cause. We're saving the bazaar.
Yeah. So some sort of story implication could be implemented with that event. Like I think that if an event should happen, it most likely needs to have some underlying lore base, so it's not out of the blue. And yeah, most likely events should also be rewarded with cosmetics, unique cosmetics preferably.
Yeah.
But at the same time, maybe some other rewards could be cool, like chests, tickets. There are like other ways to reward players. Or simply gems, You defeated the giant piñata, gems have rained on the populace.
I think all these ideas too are things that could be retooled too, especially like the City Rises or the Wormcat Invasion. Like years down the road, they could do something sort of similar, with these concepts that don't have to be the exact same thing, which is pretty nice for,
I mean,
implementing these types of ideas.
There could be whole storylines, right, regarding some aspects of this narration. So this City Rises event would be connected to this ancient dark magic that affects buildings and statues in the bazaar. So I assume there's either a dark wizard, necromancer, whatever, that is either doing that dark magic or wielding that dark magic, or this dark magic is sort of side effect of the existence of those pink crystals maybe deep below the ground. And Wormcat Invasion, well, there's already some sort of conflict or between Wormcats and Sphynxians in the background, and we simply like shift our focus on that part of the story for some time, right? When we do the event that follows that particular storyline.
Yeah.
I mean, we might ask the viewers for ideas for other events that they would like to see in the bazaar. I mean, I'm pretty sure Tempo likes those ideas. They might not use them, but it's nice to put something in your notebook to have a backlog of, something to implement to the game when your own well dries up.
Yeah, I'd be really curious if any commenters, any viewers want to mention how maybe an event like this could work for Stel or Mac when they're implemented, because I can't really think of anything, but I'm sure there's cool ideas floating for when they come to the game finally.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Please leave your likes and your comments and your subscriptions.
Please leave your life in the collecting tin when you're on your way out.
And we'll see you guys on Nunhead's channel next Monday.
So bye.
So, see ya.
All right.
That was eventful.